welcome back to a brand new Gears 5
professional to the max. We've got everything we need. We can literally just sit down, jump on the content. You've got Raw and Jones beefing it out in Gears 5.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the True Sweat podcast, and today I'm joined with Shadows. How's it going, Shadows?
I'm good. You? How about yourself, man?
I'm good, my man. I've got a bunch of questions for you today. I know you're eager to talk.
I'm ready, bro. yeah. I'm ready. I know. I had to hit you up as soon as I saw a couple episodes being put out. I had to hit you up because we've met a couple times. You know, been out on a session in London.
Yeah,
always, a good time talking about Gears. So I thought I had to, jump on and talk about Gears, what's happened and what's going to obviously be ahead in the future. Yeah.
That's it, bro. There's a lot going on with Gears at the minute. I mean, from where you've been, how did you all go? I mean, you started in Call of Duty, right? And you did Pokemon videos and stuff.
Yeah. So, like, in terms of, like, the origins of starting, like, content, is that what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just crazy. So when I first ever played Gears of War, the way that happened was my best friend at the time, his name was Luke in school. I think I must have been about 11 or 12. He introduced me to Gears 1 multiplayer. And then alongside that, we were watching like straight away on YouTube how to do like the glitches of like kung fu backflip and crab walk and stuff like that. And obviously, like at that moment, like I never envisioned like getting into YouTube or content, like watching like even back then there was no voice. I think it was literally like gameplay of like how to do like the kung fu backflip, and then it was like a screen of text. Like nobody was even using a mic, So obviously at the time, like getting into Gears 1 and like playing the franchise for the first time, I never had the idea of doing content, but from that moment I always like kept an eye on it. Like never had like created an account or anything. I was one of those like in the shadows, like proper just one of those like egg defaults, like hasn't got an account, that can't even comment, like just I had to type in like people's YouTube channels to find their channels and that to go watch their videos. But I got into content after watching for so many years. Like you had like people back in the day like Lightbar, Iceman, Yami Mash, Landon. You had a guy called Arctic. I think it was like ZYN or something like that. A few other people as well. And I watched for so many years. But the way that I got into it was because as YouTube and like gaming was starting to take off with like Call of Duty, like MW2 onwards, like in that sort of time frame, like Gears of War always stayed as like a montaging and gameplay commentary at most type of game on YouTube, and it never really like grew or like moved with the times that like Call of Duty was doing with the people that started to move into like news and information, and then eventually like tips and tricks and then vlogging and real life stuff like that. Like Gears of War always stayed in its like little niche of sort of like montaging and gameplay commentary. And so I was watching a lot of like Allier and Tiamat and a lot of like the Call of Duty guys and what they were doing for Call of Duty at the time. And it was around I would say 2012 unfortunately like after the entirety of the original trilogy on YouTube and like content and stuff. So like Gears 1, Gears 2, Gears 3, never got to experience it with that. But I got into content just after that phase when Judgment was just about to get announced. I think it was like towards the end of December, after there'd been like a few rumors about a new Gears game already being announced, just like shortly after Gears 3.
Yeah.
And I was thinking at the time as a viewer, like what people were doing in like Call of Duty and that, like news and information, spotlight gameplay stuff, and talking about the story and the lore and just literally covering everything that the game has to offer. Like nobody was doing that in Gears, and that's why I saw an opportunity. Like as a viewer, I wanted to find out about information about like Gears Judgment. I think if you remember, there was the Game Informer magazine with at first it was obviously we didn't know at the time, but it was like Cole and Baird in the handcuffs with the Onyx guard. But they were like they were sort of like shadowed out, right? Like you couldn't tell, you could only really see like the outline. You couldn't actually tell what character it was. And obviously at the time, a lot of people thought like, oh, this is going to be like a 10-year like prequel. Like this is Marcus, when he got charged with going to protect his father, like for the treason and stuff like that. And then obviously it got revealed to be Baird and Cole, but like nobody was like making videos. Like if you go back then, like nobody was making like speculation or like discussion or news and information videos on like that happening, or like new creatures, new locust characters, new weapons, blah blah blah. So that's how I sort of like got into YouTube content creation, because I saw that like gap in Gears of War that had already been filled like in other games, but it wasn't actually being done in Gears. So
yeah. I remember the first video I ever watched of yours was a Gears Judgment one. I believe it was How to Unlock the Onyx Guard. I think it was when you purchased the VIP.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the male and the female. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
that was the first time I ever.
Long
watched
time ago, man. It's been a madness. You know? It's been a madness. But yeah, I'd say even with starting at that point, like I wish I started obviously with Gears 1, or like somehow, some way, my mind allowed me to think a lot earlier on than when I actually started, because missing like Gears 3 and like I'd say like Gears 2 and Gears 3 especially on YouTube was like crazy, because if you'd think about like if someone was doing like the content that's being done today, but like back then, like let's say after the ending of Gears 2, there's that like post-credit cutscene where you can hear like the message of like Adam Phoenix, and he's like trying to reach out to Marcus. Like imagine if like people were making videos like back then in like 2008, like you know, trying to explain that like Marcus Phoenix's father, secret message, and what does it mean? Like what's going to happen with the Locust and all of that craziness. Like it's unfortunate that like Gears of War was where it was at like to start with, if it didn't like grow as quick as like other games, because it could have been like completely different today. But
yeah,
I did notice as well, like with Gears Judgment, where I started, that's where like things started to change and like rapidly like get bigger and better in terms of like content creation as like a community.
Yeah, it's definitely a crazy ride. I was going to ask you about that because obviously you missed out on those original titles, but you still seem to hugely progress from Gears Judgment onwards. But I noticed you did like Titanfall and
Gears Judgment was a rocky year, wasn't it, for Gears? The 2013. Like we honestly could say we did experience it. What felt like to me, especially like after getting into content with Judgment, like I think I grew like a couple thousand subscribers. Like it was actually that game as well where I experienced like the opportunity of like what YouTube could mean in the future for not only Gears, but like just as a platform for what it can do for like individual people in terms of like just being absolutely life changing. Because I think in the week of Gears Judgment releasing, like the game died in like 4 or 5 weeks, but the week that it came out, I think I hit like 500,000 views in that first week. And then after that, it just dipped straight down because I had no idea what I was doing at the time. But getting to experience that was pretty crazy. But again, like I said, like 4 or 5 weeks, Judgment was like looking not so good. Like I remember watching live streams from Epic Games with I can't remember all of their names. I know it was like Pete Nubb, and there was 2 other guys as well. It was a guy with like a cap. They used to do like the developer streams for Judgment. Do you remember? It was Pete Nubb, and I can't remember his name. I think his like handle is like Entropic, something like that.
There's a bunch. I know they did a few things where they go around all playing as a 5 stack of Reapers.
Yeah, like the Reaper thing. Yeah. And that's like what they were doing, like developer streams, kind of like what Dana does, where like they were talking about the tuning, and then they were like adding execution into private matches first for like the competitive and stuff. But I remember watching a stream from them where they basically just came out and said like it's done. Like we are like ending all support for Gears Judgment within not even 6 months. So obviously for us at the time, like, we actually thought like that's it. Like this is the end of Gears. It's done.
Yeah.
Especially with I think Fortnite got announced the year before that. Obviously this is way before like BR and Battle Royale was ever going to be a thing. When I think it was like the original like the campaign version of Fortnite with the like zombies and like the wave based stuff. It was kind of like a horde mode. Yeah. So we was all thinking, this is the death of Gears. So like I enjoyed like getting into content so much, even during like Judgment time, that I didn't want to stop even if Gears finished. So like that's where I moved on to like I just basically tried. I was like, I can't stop now. Like I just started, and we saw this crazy like cool like awesome growth and moment happen in Judgment that I didn't want to stop. So I went into like a little bit of Titanfall. Like I was just trying to find a new game to like take over from Gears, but there was never another game to take over from Gears. I was just trying like different things. Like I think I did like a bunch of like Easter egg videos and like Watch Dogs and GTA, and I did a bunch of videos about the new Xbox One coming out that year, because that's when I was like working at the chip shop and got all the new games that came out at launch with the new console. So I was trying all that stuff. I think I did like Rise, Son of Rome. I know I did like a bunch of like tutorial guide videos for Dead Rising 3 with the like combo weapons. But yeah, I was just basically trying to find like a new game or like a new way to create, like to keep creating content, because I literally just got into it to try and fill the void that Gears was going to be missing. But yeah, it was a bit of a mad one to like, especially to think now like Gears could have literally ended there and then, like in that moment in 2013.
The position it wasn't great. I mean, the aspect of Judgment with me was the Locust not being a PvP sort of factor was the biggest thing for me. I enjoyed the game, don't get me wrong, but Versus was just a complete letdown.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mess. Like I remember like that map Gondola, and like you could angle yourself where you could roll from like the top side of the map to hit like a roof at a certain, like I think it was like the ramp off the roof on the middle floor to land at the very bottom, and like I think you get a bit of full damage, but like you could survive the whole way down. Like yeah, think of like Gears 4 and 5, like compared to that, like that was arcadey as anything, man.
Yeah, it was. It was probably the most noob friendly Gears game I've ever sort of
seen. Definitely. They
So,
gave you the sword off with 2 bullets.
that weapon alone was just brutal. Like if you had a boom shield as well, you'd just sit in a corner.
Oh yeah, that was the thing as well. Yeah, I was running around with boom shield and hammer burst, and I remember the boom shield would give you like 0 recoil, so like you could literally just be a laser beam with like the cursor like not moving at all.
Some of the weapons in that, I have to say, that were probably some of the best. Like the breach shot. Like that weapon is.
Oh yeah, I would love to see that weapon come back in Gears 5, man. Especially with like Krav Jamad. I think it mentions it in his description in the game itself. But yeah, I'm not really too sure like what's going on there. Like obviously we had that Bushka situation, and then we got the Scorcher. Like, are we getting weapons or like? Because I think that's something that Gears 5 should definitely have. You know, like it just changes up the meta. It changes up maps that the new weapons are put onto. Like after the Scorcher, like I think if there was one more weapon that could make an appearance that could actually still serve like its own purpose, would definitely be like a breach shot. Yeah, maybe changed a little bit in terms of how it like functions and like the reload and stuff. But yeah, I would love to see the breach shot come back as well.
Literally, I think about an hour ago, so I think Dana confirmed that the boom shield's not coming into Gears 5.
Yeah, I think I saw that as well. Yeah, because there was the new mark, right? Yeah.
But that's a bit surprising considering the amount of boom shields you see in Gears 4 and Gears 5, like on the back of Scion's backs and just
and then obviously they're on that river as well. They're like everywhere because obviously like sort of like a locust dead wasteland.
Yeah. So you was mentioned that you played other games and stuff before than Gears. Have you ever thought with the position you're in now to have a second channel for those games or?
Nah, man. I actually don't even play video games. Like, after getting into content like full time with Gears Ultimate Edition in 2015, like my turn on like gaming is completely different to what it was as like a kid. Like when I was growing up playing Gears 1 and 2 and 3, like I was doing it for the fun, doing it for the leaderboards, playing online with friends. Like ever since getting into content so much and so hard, like I can't sit at an Xbox or like play a game and like I feel like I'm like cheating on myself that I'm not like working on a video or like streaming. Like I haven't played any game really since GTA 5 was like the last like game that I purchased, like outside of Gears. Like I just, as soon as we're getting into the content, like I just such a focus on it that gaming is completely different. It's gone from like a thing that I did as a hobby for fun, and then it's turned into this crazy like full-time gig job thing. And so it's very hard to like look at gaming and not feel like I'm wasting my time if I'm like sitting here for 3 hours and I could have just streamed for 3 hours,
But what would happen, say if we got to Gears 6 and they're not doing any pre-sequels or anything sort of that, what would you do sort of content-wise then after Gears?
I don't know. I don't know if there is an after Gears, man. Like my take has always been this, like I've been very fortunate to meet like a bunch of big YouTubers, go to like the Xbox studios in London and stuff, and like I've had conversations with people that have literally told me like you can't do Gears content only, like you can't survive and continue to just only play Gears of War. And I've always said to them like I got into content through my love of Gears, and like I just, even at this point now, I just don't even think or look at any other game. Like if there was another game that came out and it like it's piqued my interest, especially as much as Gears, I'd love to have like multiple games to play. But like at the time, like right now at the time, I'd say like I'm so into Gears. Like I'm at peace and like I'm happy enough just playing Gears and grinding this, then trying to like you know, chase numbers, like doing a more in like popular game just because it's popular, or like, you know, trying to find a new game. Like I'm very content with just like enjoying Gears of War for what it has and, you know, what it offers.
Yeah. So how do
I
you?
probably wouldn't like make a second channel, you know, like I just, especially if I did find another game, like I would just mix it into, you know, with the Gears content. It would definitely make it easier as well, but so far it's been like what, a good, I've been 5-6 years since TC like started with their like releases, and there hasn't really been like another game that I've been like, yo, like I need to play this. Like I'm actually looking forward to, I think, playing Halo Infinite this year. Obviously it was supposed to come out and then it got delayed. I always enjoy Halo multiplayer. Like it's not as like crazy as Gears for me personally. Like I'm not into it that much. Like, you know, like the story and everything. Like I just enjoy. I think it'd be like a nice like change of pace for everybody, like especially for everybody in Gears, especially to be like, okay, we've been, you know, smashing Gears for so long. Enjoy something else on the side for a little bit, even if it was for fun, you know, just streaming that. Because then it would obviously make you miss Gears even more going into whenever Gear 6 happens. So apart from that, yeah, it's just literally just Gears at the moment.
How do you deal with like dry spells? So say if TC are not releasing any content for like 2 weeks, do you like hold back videos? Do you have ideas ready to go? How do you deal with that content sort of dry patches?
I'd say like it's definitely come from like doing content for a good few years now. At first, like if you go on a YouTube channel history, like I kind of, after Judgment, and then actually it was the following year when I always remember it as well because it's such a life-changing like moment for me, man. Like Gears has been absolutely insane, bro. Like I can never take it for granted, and it would never get to the point where it like feels normal, like explaining it or talking about it to anybody or anything. You know, it's just absolutely mad. But I always will remember that Microsoft acquired and purchased Gears on January 27th, 2014, is when they put out that little Xbox Wire post. Yeah. And from that moment, it's like I said earlier, getting to experience like a big moment in Judgment, even if it was just for like the launch week, getting like 500,000 views on Gears content, especially at like a 2-3, I think I was like just over 2,000 subscribers, was an absolute madness. So when they made this announcement, Microsoft and Xbox did, I was like, obviously, even to this day, I had no idea whatever was going to happen, but I just knew at that moment, like, there might be an opportunity here to, like, push Gears of War content, as it looks like it will actually have, like, a future that might even be stronger than it would have been if it's just stayed at Epic and they tried to, you know, continue the franchise. Because obviously, being owned by Microsoft, it would have that, like, full backing instead of just being, like, an exclusive on Xbox, but it was owned by Epic. So from that moment, on the YouTube channel, I started, like, just basically sort of like multiple series summarizing as much variety of Gears content as I could, that I've completely missed out on starting like that late into the franchise itself. So after like the original trilogy, and you also had like Gears 1 for PC for Windows, that released in like 2007, that had a bunch of like mods and custom content that people had made, like they sort of like interjected horde mode and stuff like that. So what I did from back then was just like, in terms of like how to think about like doing Gears content, was, so I have like multiplayer, and then like I don't know, like it's crazy to think about, because like the way that I look at Gears is unlike any other game, and that's why I've always stuck to Gears. Like I just try to think of like what is the biggest variety of things that I can do, and so I got into the habit of like running different multiple series. So I had like a throwback series where, because I started so late, I did like an entire, I think it was like 30-40 video series where I just covered every single Easter egg and how to do it, and where, you know, on every single Gears of War game ever. That was the series. And then from there, I did a Gears of War 2 Road to Level 100, like the XP Level 100 series, and I think that was like 65 videos. So that was 2 series like I was running back to back, and then I just got into the sort of like rhythm of, if I can find like different series and different sort of like specifically, especially like episodic type content there, you make not just one video, but it's like a consistent thing, and then run that back to back. Like if you have like 4 or 5 different series running at the same time, you can never run out of videos, just because even if you're adding like one video to each different series, if you've got 4 or 5 series running at the same time, that's like 8-9 videos at a time, just by doing like one video for sort of like each different thing. So I'm just trying to remember, like I know I had the Gears 2 Road to 100, I had the Easter egg throwback series. I was doing
you had a Road
sort
to
of
100
like
in UE as well, didn't you?
Yeah. I tried it on a couple different games. Yeah. I had what else did I do? I think I did like that's when I started like the discussion sort of like theory videos about after the ending of Gears 3 and how that could lead to a new Gears game. Because obviously with Microsoft announcing that they were acquiring the franchise, like, I had a feeling. I did a couple of videos talking about prequel stuff as well. Like there was always rumors about people wanting Pendulum Wars and that.
Yeah.
But I made like that's when I started like the sort of like discussion theory type videos talking about like what could happen after Gears 3. Like could there be this idea of like a stranded insurgency where if the locusts were removed, but then the remainder of the cog and the stranded were still alive, like they would probably go to war, which actually did end up happening, but sort of like in a different twist. It went from cog and stranded to the new cog and the outsiders. So at that time, like, that's when I started getting into the groove of like, okay, I'm thinking about Gears in like multiple different ways, and if I run these different series, I can just upload like back to back to back to back to back. And the craziest thing about it is like when I was doing that, there wasn't really anybody like really making Gears of War content like at all in 2014, because it was such a Microsoft just announced that they acquired the franchise, but it had been so long since obviously Gears 3 and Judgment was a flop that Gears content wasn't really doing anything on YouTube except for myself, maybe a couple other people out there.
Yeah.
And when Black Tusk Studio got announced, I think that, like I said, in January, 3 months later is when they got in contact with me. It was Jack Felling in April 2014 is when she reached out to me, and she basically said like, could I help her out with like a giveaway? I think she was doing for like one of those like exclusive first ever headsets that they gave away, if you remember. Yeah. I think it was like an Astra. I don't know if it was like an exclusive headset or just like the
I think it's the accessory things, isn't it? Like
the what are they called, like the plates?
Yeah, the
or like
plates things.
Yeah, the things that you could connect and disconnect. Yeah. She reached out to me, and that's how I got in contact with the coalition. So like that was like 7 years ago,
Yeah.
And she basically said like, obviously she couldn't share anything at the time, but she just said like just keep doing what I was doing for Gears content, because it's going to mean something in the future in terms of Gears, and that's all she could say. And so yeah, that was a bit of a madness, like getting in contact with TC. Obviously they weren't called TC at the time; they were called Black Tusk. Like just a few months after Microsoft acquired the entire franchise, just because of putting out like just this different style of content. And so yeah, obviously from there it's just grown and grown and grown, and you live and learn, and every single day is like a new thing to learn, and it just sort of like evolved from there.
That's it, man. Gears has become a never-ending cycle, hasn't it, of different things. Like when you was mentioning when they acquired Black Tusk, obviously, well, Black Tusk acquired Gears. It was just, I think all the Gears fans started coming back to the game and started pumping montages out and stuff.
Yeah.
You started to get at your height, I'd say, when they turned into TC is when you really exploded, really.
Yeah, like that would be like moving into 2015 with Gears of War Ultimate Edition.
Yeah. Right, let's see. So moving forward with TC. So out of all their games they've created, which would you say they've done the best with? So like you got Gears Ultimate Edition, you got Gears 4, and you got Gears 5 and Gears Tactics. At the moment, what would you say is the best supported game? What could these work for?
It has to be Gears 5. Yeah, I think with the years of the experience that they and just the learning lessons that they've been taking, obviously throughout since taking over, I think Gears 5 is at a stage where. Like the thing that I think about Gears 4 and 5 as well, like I still feel like they aren't the next gen Gears of War that we want to experience. Like I feel like Gears 4 especially was super safe to Gears 3, very templated after that game. Was moderately supported in terms of like it only had like additional maps, and then obviously customization characters and content through the gear packs. I think you'd have to say like Gears 5 is definitely the most supported game from them. Tactics doesn't have like a campaign DLC and the support Gears 5 gets. I think like as time has gone on, like Gears 5 is definitely the most supported game from TC, and it's more of their vision of like what I think originally they on paper that maybe all those years ago they wanted Gears to start off as like if Gears 5 was the starting point, especially right now. I still feel like we're waiting for like TC to really like go all out, and then it make it feel like, you know, like this is like a modernized Gears of War game. Like this feels like 2020 plus whatever. Like, you know, Gears 4 and 5, like even 5, like they feel like sort of like Xbox, you know, like closer to Xbox 360 and then like early year Xbox One version of like of a video game.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like the super, like everything in Gears 5 pretty much. If you haven't played since Gears 3 in 2011, like a decade ago, you haven't really missed much. Like if you compare like what the experiences were and what was, you know, playable, and you know what was in Gears 3 compared to Gears 5, like there hasn't been that next level. Like there's this like new, like let's say for example, a thing that I'd love to see in Gears, I think they should definitely do is like a big ass, like if we're never going to get battle royale, like a big ass like war game mode that is like true Gears of War. Like you feel like you're in the universe on the battlefield. You've got teammates playing as Brumax, you know, you got Reavers flying in, like proper all-out warfare within like the Gears of War universe, on like making it feel like you're on the battlefield. Like I think that's something like that would be like, okay, like this is next gen Gears. Like, you know, we've never been able to experience anything like this before, you know. So I still feel like Gears 5 will continue to obviously get like content this year and maybe into next year as well. Who knows like how long they're going to take for Gears 6, but I think Gears 6, especially with like Rod leaving and all the changes at the studio, like I think Gear 6 will hopefully be like the Coercion's first like true like this is next gen, like this is the next like generation experience of Gears of War.
I remember you said on Twitter a bunch of times, which I 100% support, is about a overrun based mode. I mean, the amount of characters that you can play as. Yeah,
that I wish they were a bit more like transparent. Like I know you're talking about like the jackbot ability, right? With like. Yeah, dude, I spent months collecting like gameplay footage doing that to try and put a video like that together. I think I released that video a good while ago. I think it was like 8-9 months ago. Basically, what I did was like literally play as Jack for like 30 seconds to a minute. I got into like level 18, the highest you could get to, just hijacking, like doing this over and over, and I was like recording all the like. It doesn't make no sense to me that. Because I don't think like beast mode should ever return again. Like I think that was, you know, it's just like a PvE game mode. Like it's something that, you know, was fun and awesome in Gears 3, but like we don't really need necessarily today, because it wouldn't really grow Gears in terms of like, oh, you know, you're gonna keep coming back every single day to play this specific game mode, because you probably won't. I think like, but that style of like mode, but like multiplayer, like PvP, just like Overrun, maybe like a successor to Overrun, is like what Gears is missing. And like the fact that in Gears 5, like right now, like it's been developed, it's been coded, everything's done, it's in the game live, that you can literally play as, I think it's like 25 different swarm creatures and DB robots. Someone was telling me in the comment section on that video recently that potentially I think you can actually hijack one of the what's the flock called? The leeches in the campaign that I didn't actually include in that video. Yeah. Apparently. But like you could like do all type of things. Like you could, you know, take over juvies and tracker balls. So like this is the player's perspective has been also developed with, you know, UI on the screen telling you like the attacks and the abilities. And that's for every single pretty much like swarm creature and DB robot in horde mode, and then a bit of the campaign.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you've got like Warden, you've got like the DR1s, the trackables, the juvies, the pouncers. Like this is all like functional in Gears 5 today, and the fact that it doesn't exist in its own game mode, like even if it was a test run, like maybe we're gonna do like a 10v10 Overrun type attack and defend style game mode on like just normal traditional multiplayer maps, where we take the spawns as the bases, and you know you can level up like maybe throughout like the different types of DBs and like different cog heroes, and then on the other side you have all the different swarm creatures. Like even as a starting point in Gears 5 with the technology being there already, like it blows my mind that it's there and it's just not being used to, you know, the best of its potential. Like if you show a clip of like the swarm pouncer with like the HUD off, and you just like whipped out your phone to a mate who's maybe played like the old Gears games, and you went, look, like Gears 5 has got this new beast mode or like this new like Overrun type game where we could play as the monsters. They'd be like, yo, and then you're like, oh yeah, actually no, I'm kidding. It's only a part of like Jack's special ability for like 30 seconds. Like it's mind blowing, man. Like I don't know if that's something that's like existing in Gears 5 that will get its true like use in an operation like this year, or you know, I'm not really too sure, because like if you look at like Bahanu as like a multiplayer map, like obviously they had the high buster DLC in the works already, but like they released that Bahanu like map environment setting into the game itself before the DLC. So maybe like this feature could be a part of like just Jackbot's ability for so long, and then maybe, I don't know, out of the blue they come out with like a new game mode. Because to have that technology like in the game, like no work required there whatsoever, and not be used to like its full potential is just absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big pet peeves for me is the fact that, you know, Locust are not in the game, in like Horde and stuff. Like, I think that's a well needed thing added. Like Lambent as well. We got Lambent characters.
100%, yeah.
And they even bleed, you know, the Lambent juice when you kill them. You know,
if
they got that in the game, surely they can add them as an actual enemy.
Yeah, did you see? I did a video on like the Gears 3, like the PC version, where I spawned in as Lambent creatures in Horde mode. I definitely feel like if I was TC right now, like my vision for the rest of Gears 5, as a bonus, like another campaign DLC, I'd love that, but you know, probably not. But apart from that, my content support for the rest of Gears 5 in terms of like major features would be an attack and defend like that overrun style game mode where you just play like 10 versus 10. I think like if you go on private match, there's actually like 10 spectator slots, so maybe the UI is in the game already in terms of like being able to support that. Like a 10 versus 10 would obviously be amazing and absolutely like, also you wouldn't be able to have like 10 like swarm acts on the map at once. Maybe there'd be like limits on like bigger like creatures and stuff like that. But you know, I'd release like a game mode like that. It's a test run to be something even bigger and better in Gears 6. And then I would add Locust and Lambent into PvE, into Horde mode. And then to finish it all off, I would then make the Locust and Lambent that you works into Horde mode then playable in that overrun type game mode. So you would have like the ability to as a player in multiplayer PvP to play as like the Cog, Outsiders, UIR, Stranded, Locust creatures, Lambent creatures, Swarm creatures, and then call it a day for Gears 5. But like I think they should definitely do that. In terms of like TC, because like if they put the groundwork in like right now, like the infrastructure in place right now, like if they go through the effort, because obviously they said like going through the Unreal engines, like they would probably need to completely rework from scratch a majority of like those creatures, and you know, to make them playable as well. Like even if you look at the Gears 4 prologue, like it had like the Locust like drones, grenadiers, there's wretches in there, there's a corpse that comes out the ground, there's the reavers, you've got boomers in there. And like I'm actually surprised, like we didn't see something similar to the Terminator Horde event at the launch of Gears 5, where they changed like the Horde enemies, so like the Locust, like those Locust specific variants. Like even if they did that as a test run, just to see the feedback from the community, and everybody would probably go crazy. Like I know at the moment we got the Wakatu like getting its own like special event in Horde mode, like being a new like boss in there. But yeah, if they did something like that where they introduced the Locust and the Lambent into PvE, maybe through that as like a test run as well. That if I was TC, like that's what I would be doing for Gears 5, because like if you put the groundwork in now to do that now, then obviously you've done that, and then going into Gears 6, you can take that with you and just grow it even more and just, you know, blow out of the park.
That's it, man. I don't know if you've ever played obviously Halo 5 version of Warzone. Something similar to that would be.
I did play a bit, yeah.
Because you got like the cards, and you can select a vehicle to spawn in. It'd be similar. You could spawn as a Snatcher and go and wreak havoc.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just think like that type of game mode would be like, it kind of be like Star Wars Battlefront as well, where it's
heroes versus villains.
You have like normal, you know, units, but then you have like, you know, imagine spawning in as like the Ram from Ram Shadow, or like a playable version of Scourge from the Gears 2 campaign with his like his chainsaw stuff, and being able to fly, you know, on the Tempest as Queen Mira, and do all this craziness that is, you know, what we've every Gears fan has just got amazing memories with, and just put it into a blended up multiplayer mode. Like I think that's like the thing that Gears is missing, man. Like with all these years after, you know, playing Gears of War like traditional multiplayer, I do feel like, unless TC wanted to prove me wrong and, you know, show otherwise, like I do feel like Gears like multiplayer is sort of hitting its ceiling in terms of like what else can they do in to grow it, to make it, you know, fresh and exciting. Like I do kind of feel like it's hit the ceiling, like in terms of like where does it go like from now, because like I said, like both Gears 4 and 5 have just sort of felt like refined versions of Gears 3, where Gears of War got to that stage where it can't really change too much, and so it's more so felt like similar from like each title to title. So like, you know, if that was true, and if that was the case, like, you know, maybe traditional multiplayer will have its purpose and, you know, exist, but the way to grow Gears is trying new ways and new experiences like that. If there's no battle royale on the table, like that could be Gears of War's answer to battle royale in terms of offering a completely brand new, unique mode that is so on point with the universe, the characters, the villains, the monsters, and all sorts, and just providing like an all-out warfare game mode for PvP.
One of the biggest things that was talked about as well in the community at the minute, it's kind of died down a little bit now, was the Phoenix collection stuff.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the idea of having a Phoenix collection?
Yeah, I'm down, man. Like, making Gears content, as I said earlier, the more variety, the better. Like, if they remastered more Gears games, that would just mean more Gears content to be made by everybody,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd definitely take it. Like, if you look at PC right now, like the Gears franchise is incomplete. Like, you go from Gears 1 Ultimate Edition, and then you have to skip 2 and 3 story, and then land in 4 and 5, and then that's it. And then obviously you've got Tactics now as well. So I definitely feel like there's a bit of potential there. Like, this was the same thing that popped up in like 5-6 years ago now for 2015 when Gears Ultimate Edition rumors started, going around that they were working on a remake of a Gears of War game. And obviously, I think this was like 6 to 8 months after the release of the Master Chief Collection for Halo. So obviously, us as a Gears community were like, well, if Halo got this remake collection thing last year, like maybe we could get like the Marcus Phoenix collection for Gears. Like, I think there's definitely an audience there. Like, I think even if it was used as a release now and Gear 6 layer, like I would definitely be down for that. It would complete the entire franchise for PC gamers and new Xbox Series gamers and today's gamers that maybe Gears 4 or 5 is their first Gears games, and then you could have like the entire franchise. Like if we have 1, 4, and 5 pretty much at the same fidelity in terms of graphics and how the games play, in terms of like modernization. Having like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going into Gears 6 would definitely be like super strong for Gears, and especially if it was to give like TC those extra like even year or two to completely refine Gears 6 to have like a true like genuine Gears of War like launch experience compared to what we've gone through so far for 4 and 5.
Yeah.
I'll be like all for it.
Do you think they should do, say if they did this Phoenix collection, do you think they should just do like the campaign, or do you think they should cover multiplayer as well? Or
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
because I think multiplayer would be a bit of work, considering like all 3 games.
It definitely would be. Yeah,
nashes and tunings and stuff. It'd be crazy.
Yeah, like Splash Damage is a team that's a lot of people don't even realize is a part of Gears as much, almost as much as the Coalition. Like,
yeah,
they're not credited as much, but yeah, they are continuing like work today on like Gears 5 operations. Like I think the product of Gears of War Ultimate Edition was absolutely amazing. I loved it, man. I absolutely loved it. Like I enjoyed it so much. It was a good hit of nostalgia with a fresh bit of paint that just played well. We had dedicated servers. It was just awesome. Like if that was just the type of experience where they're polishing the game up, they make a few changes like they did in Gears UE, where they removed the original Gears 1 active down sniper and fixed that. I'd be all for it, man. Like Gears 1, 2, 3 campaign and multiplayer. Maybe you throw Gears Judgment's campaign in there. And maybe fix that up a bit as well in terms of like giving it the default Gears controls and making it feel like more like a continuation like Gears experience compared to being like the stepchild of the franchise. Like if that was a treatment for a Marcus Phoenix collection, like I would definitely want like both campaign and multiplayer, because then like campaign would be like you play it once, you've done it, you wouldn't really have a reason to continue playing it, and obviously they could support it in ways where maybe it's similar to how Gears 5 works, and you get extra content that wasn't originally available in the original Gears games, but then added into a Gears 1, 2, and 3 setting. But I don't know, it's all about like TC's plans, man, because we have no idea at the moment what's obviously coming next. Like Gears 6 is definitely on the cards, but I definitely think there's potential in even more Gears of War gaming like projects that are outside of Gear 6 that isn't a Marcus Phoenix collection. So it depends on like what TC are working on.
Yeah. So currently there's an okay amount of maps in Gears 5. Would you prefer to have like the remakes such as River appear again in the game, or do you want new, fresh maps to go through, like Nexus? Like Nexus is a brilliant map that they created.
Yeah. I think Nexus and Regency are absolute bangers. I think Regency is actually my favorite original Gears 5 map. Like, it reminds me of Hotel. Like, the layout is very similar in terms of like you've got a lifted side at the very back, and then you've got the sort of like massive in-house structure, and then you've got the garden at the front side and the spawns that wrap around.
Yeah.
I think I would take just a mixture of the two to boost up the numbers. Like, there was a bunch of remakes that they put into Gears 4. Like, I was actually expecting with Holostorm Operation 5 being Gears 2 themed, the two new maps, River and then Avalanche and Security, because they were Gears 2 original maps created remade for the first time into Gears 4, but then we got Gears 1 maps, Gridlock and Clock Tower. So yeah, I would definitely take like a mixture of like brand new maps, and then also remakes like River, but also like if they want to put in remakes that they created in Gears 4 like Avalanche and Security, and other new maps from that game like Dawn and Diner, like I would definitely just take those maps into Gears 5 just to boost up the numbers even more.
Do you think they should have added not just one new weapon? Like, do you think they should have added the booster in? I know we previously talked about this but do you think they should add more older weapons in?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Because I said earlier, like when a new weapon gets introduced and it drops onto not only new maps but old maps, like it changes up the meta. It changes up the way a round can be played, a match can be played, even how a map can be played. Because it's sort of like a new feature that wasn't present before. And so even though it's the same map, like it will feel like a new experience. Like I'm not really too sure what TC's plans with that. Like. Obviously, we didn't get the Booshka, but then we got the Scorcher, and then people wondering about this Boom Shield, and it's just like, a marker doesn't mean anything. Like, could there be potential for a breach shot? Like, I think introducing new weapons is definitely the next step of what TC have been doing, going from like introducing just maps and characters to introducing maps, characters, game modes, different executions, and then moving on to, if we could get like new weapons for Gears 5, that would be great. Like, if it's not on the plans, maybe... the feedback and the engagement from the community on the Scorcher shows TC that in Gear 6, like if they planned it out where each season introduced like an old returning weapon or even a brand new weapon, it would just add to the variety of like engagement and playability that as Gears fans we could feel if we're playing like the game like on a very regular basis.
So aside to Gears gameplay, let's talk Gears outside and in the open, going to LAN events and going to talk to community members. Have you had some good experiences, like going to your first LAN event, and then obviously, as it progressed, how many have you been to, for example?
Yeah, I think the first event I went to was December 2016 for Gears 4. I think it was the London LAN event. That's why I first met my boy Raw, man. Like me and that Gashead, man. We've had some mad experiences, man. Like, I had the pleasure to go to like a Gears 4 beta early event earlier that year as well. But yeah, I'd say like in terms of like just open to the general public, like that was the first event I ever went to. I met Raw and like nobody really recognized me or like people. Like knew who I was in terms of like creating content like obviously the following like years later in Gears 5. So like it was a very different experience, man. Like getting to see because like we competed as well just for fun,
was it 2v2 boxes or something like that?
No, it was the Escalation. And we had a team. We played for Skillsy for DVL, and we're just there for the sesh, man. Like the LAN events for me is just an opportunity to hang out with like-minded people that love Gears and have that passion to show up to an event and just hang out with other people. So like it's always a good time, man. It's just I feel like the events are always about like just meeting the community, meeting up with friends that you get to speak to over the internet, and just having a good time, enjoying life for a weekend, for away from the work and normal life stuff, and just enjoying yourself. So yeah, it went from that first event in London. I've actually no. And then after that, it went absolutely crazy. Like I never expected to like leave the country and go to get Gears of War events in like America and stuff like that. And it was after that I went to Paris in France, first time ever there, and that was absolute madness. And then after that, for some reason, I went to Vegas like a couple of months later, and yeah, going to America, man, it was absolutely insane. Like, I was there for years, and it still blows my mind to this day. And it doesn't even feel like I've done any of these things or I've experienced them, even though I have the memories, because it's just so absolutely out there. You know, it's just mind blowing. You know, the American scene was definitely like completely different from like the London event the prior year. You know, a lot more bigger, a lot more people. But that's just like America as a country, you know, especially like a spot like Vegas. First time in America, like I was just mind blown, man. Like compared to like, you know, where I live in Worthing, like, you know, probably where you live close by as well, like in the UK, like it's such a different environment, different terrain, different weather, food. Like the people are so different. Like it was just absolutely mind blowing. And then after Vegas, I had the crazy opportunity to go to a few more events. I took my missus to Boston last year, and she got to see, you know, this side of what I do. Like, you know, it's very, very hard to explain like content to, you know, people that just obviously have like regular, normal working jobs. Like they don't really understand the gaming thing. So yeah, I took her there, and, you know, we've been together almost 8 years soon. So like, you know, she's been with me basically since, I started YouTube on Judgment. Like we met in college, and I had like 200 subs. So yeah, being able to take her out to a Gears event, and like the moment that I walk in, like, I'm vlogging, you know, doing the content stuffing, and then people coming up to me like, "Yo, Shadows, like let's get a picture," and like my missus is there. It was just absolutely mind blowing. You know, this whole like experience of like traveling and going to like the different LAN events. Like the thing that I will always love about Gears is definitely the community. Like the people that you meet in real life are just so much different compared to most people online. You know, like what you get online, you won't get in real life, man. Like in real life, it is just so much fun. You know, being able to hang out with like the pros and other content creators, and just, you know, the Gears community in general. Like everybody just has so much like love and passion for Gears that it just, the energy is vibing all the time. Like people can go to the YouTube channel and check out the vlogs. Like it is just absolutely unreal, man. Like I wish, you know, like after this corona like situation, like I'm not really too sure if I'll be able to, you know, go to many events in the future. Like just thinking about what I want to do in terms of like, it's mad expensive, man. Like flying to America, like hotel and all that stuff, spending money, like it's so expensive. So, you know, I probably won't be going to as many Gears events like in the future, and especially like right now there hasn't been any events, or, you know, obviously the whole world's been on lockdown, so like it's completely different. So I'm very, very grateful that I was able to like get a good couple of years in, like from Gears 4 into Gears 5, getting to go to like all these different places, and just really getting to experience life, man. Like traveling is like something I would definitely recommend to everybody to try and do at some point in your life, you know. Even if you start off small and then go bigger, like getting to see like this planet that we live on is just, it opens your mind, man. It really like opens your mind from like what feels normal and what, you know, what is really out there, you know.
Look, I'm not a big traveller, but I went to see, you know, your Gears peeps three times. I went to...
I went the London Gas,
Yeah, the first time I went to the Chelsea football ground to watch a LAN event.
Yeah.
And I met a couple of guys who I play with online, Onyx and Cookie Clown.
Yeah.
And then I think I met Toby Campbell as well for the first time there as well. And then the second time I went, it was with Dana, Hannah of Dawn, you, and Jackal. And that was good. That was a good time as well. We was meant to exactly. Session took Dana to Weatherspoons. Hey, he's already on it as well.
You already know, we're always on the gas, baby.
Yeah, we took Dana to Weatherspoons for the first time, I think it was, wasn't it? And he was like, "What the hell's a Weatherspoons?" And we're trying to explain
cheap drinks, man. Cocktails, let's go. Blue Lagoon coming out in the pictures and that, yeah.
And then the second time was again with yourself and Cog Couple, and Dana hosted that one in Soho, was it? I think it was.
I don't know. It's all London to me. I
don't know where it was. Yeah. But that was the first time I ever went to London. It was just considering I've been around here Birmingham way for a long time and never stepped foot out of Birmingham. It was just a nice environment, and to be with people like you said, you know, the Gears fans is just absolutely brilliant. It's unbelievable. Yeah,
it's just like you get to like just enjoy the moment in the moment, man. Like it's very, 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 very fun, man. Like hopefully, you know, whenever this situation in the world goes down, like maybe calms down, like I think Dana will maybe be able to come over, and yeah, we'll probably have like another good meetup session in London,
Yeah, it's
man.
gotta be
Going
done,
into
man.
probably like going into Gear 6, you know.
It's got to be done. I mean, I've got to say, probably one of the most memorable things. Me and Paul was on about this the other day. Was when we was all just talking, and the guy took a picture with you from the other table because he was like, "Oh, you're quite headshots. Want to take a picture with you?" just took a picture. We was all getting absolutely smashed. It was brilliant.
Yeah, like what's going on? Like yeah, we take a picture. Yeah, let's go. All the gas.
I saw a picture of you online. I was talking to Raw about this the other day. It was when you was like throwing up in some.
Oh man,
I don't know where it was.
That's what I mean. Like the session's real, man. Like so, I say to people, like if you meet me in real life, man, like we will have a good time. Like you know, if people are wondering like what gas means, and like I got because I was the person who got Raw saying gas. You know, like got him into saying it. Like if you go back to that like London vlog, like you will see like I'm gassing it up, and then eventually as the days are going by in the vlog, he started saying yeah gas, yeah, and now he can't stop saying it as well. You know, everybody says it, but yeah, that's what gas is, man. It's just loving life, living life in the moment, and just enjoying it because we literally live this life once, you know. So yeah, it's just to make sure I have just a great time always, man.
What was your favourite moment out of all the lands you've been to? Like it could be a night out, it could be meeting somebody.
Every single American event has just been unreal. Like you know, obviously, like I said, like I did 10 days in Vegas, and like the Vegas is just an absolute madness. You can get drunk at any time of the day, but everything's 24/7 open. Like you know, the after parties in America, like for the LAN events, are always crazy. It's some sort of like nightclub or like you know, yeah. In Vegas, it was Dre's nightclub. Like I think it's like the most famous club in Vegas, and like all for free. We're just all put on the Gears of War list, and it's just an absolute party. You know, in France, Paris, that event like a couple months before Vegas, like the French teams got me absolutely wasted. And, you know, I threw up everywhere there. There's probably a lot of pictures like that of people have, man. Like I think there was a picture in Paris where I was with Shady and Ryan Falls, and I was sitting at the bar like this, and he was like holding my hand up, like my whole arm like this, and then took like a selfie with me, and I didn't even realize what's going on. There was California, San Diego was absolutely a crazy one as well. Obviously, you know, the laws and regulations over there with the dispensaries and stuff like that is a good time. Me, Raw, and Starspawn, just, you know, we got a balcony. It was absolutely crazy as well. Like, just, you can watch it in the vlogs as well, man. Like, even the littlest things, like, I'm gassed over the food, man. Like, I'm looking forward to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, I'm excited to eat every single time. Like, you know, I get a burger and I'm like, yes, let's go. Let me get it in. I'm ready because it just tastes absolutely banging. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't think there's one moment, especially over like the last couple of years, like the traveling and that. Like I went to Atlanta, I met like Landon as well. Obviously, I flew to the Coalition as well. That was an absolute madness. So like, I don't think there's like one moment. I think, as I said, it's just being gassed, man. It's just, you know, enjoying the company of the people around you in the environment that you're in to the fullest. From, you know, I'm waking up at 6 a.m. ready to go to, you know, we're going to sleep in the early hours of the a.m. the next day. Like, just enjoying the moment, man. So, like, I would just say every trip has had, like, its moments and, like, the best times for different things with different people.
Yeah. What was the trip like down to the studio? Cause
oh, man, it was mad. You know, it was. It's definitely a lot more corporate than I expected. Like, I completely forgot. Like, I was probably. I didn't realize I was going to be walking into like, especially like watching the stream, like into like super offices. You know, with actual like real work and people like at desks and that and doing stuff. But yeah, they treated us so well, man. Like, you know, that was always like a bucket list thing for me that I never expected to ever be able to tick off. Like, I'd always, you know, like I said, watched other YouTubers and seen people thrown out for like Call of Duty to like Infinity Ward and stuff like that, and Treyarch. And, you know, I always thought to myself, like, especially getting into like Gears UE and Gears 4, like, you know, if I could ever have the opportunity to travel anywhere, it would definitely be to go visit a studio in person. And like the fact that, you know, the Coalition took care of us, they flew us, you know, I think like 20 of us, like, as TTA partners over for a couple days, like, Oh man, again, it was just another gas trip. Like me and Raw, just ready to go. It was Richie, Moo Moo Milk there. That you had Weecher and Crawls, the Spanish guys. You had couple pros, like you had Ashes, you had Summons. It was super surreal, man. Like it was only really Dana, Rob Ferguson, maybe a couple of the developers would come out and talk to us or watch what we were doing, but we were very much like on a like away from like the main side of like the coach and like the corporate, like all the people working. Like we had like a little tour through the actual like the corporate side. Like we were sort of like in the sort of like open area, like you go through the entrance and then you went through that like really cool looking corridor, and it was sort of like an open area where like maybe they serve like lunch and stuff, but they had like individual gaming setups set up for every single person that was there. Like I met like Gold Glove and that there. I think I played there's my Terminator character video. I went like 12-0 in execution, and that was against like Gold Glove and like his 5-man. He had like 4 friends, and they were all PC players and keyboard and more mouse. But yeah, we had like individual setups to just literally like walk in and just go to work, man. Just go and absolutely smash content, So yeah, it was just again just living in the moment, super surreal, man. It was playing Gears 5 in the day, like we were doing videos, recording it, streaming it from the studio itself. And then going out, like they were taking us out for dinner and like going out, on a night out for the tuna. Like we was only there for like a couple of nights, so it was very quick. But yeah, super surreal to walk in where the actual game is created. And like the fun fact is, I'll reveal now. I knew about the High Buster DLC because I saw something, but kept my mouth shut when I walked through the studio. Yeah,
from that long ago.
Yeah, I always kept it to myself. Few speculation videos here and there, but that's why I always knew about the campaign DLC happening because I think it was like a storyboard on with like Maclani Keegan, and it said campaign, and I was like, okay, I think I just saw it on like a whiteboard as I was walking through. So yeah, that was a bit of a madness, and I'm glad that's finally released. But yeah, I made a few like speculation cool videos, and then obviously like when the gameplay leaked for that like earlier this year in that like GameStack Live documentary, I was like, oh thank goodness, like we can actually talk about it because it's visually there.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, I think with that as well, I knew Hoffman was coming back to Gears 5, so like because we weren't allowed to record or take pictures like when we were doing that, so like it was obviously all on the memory if you saw anything, but. Yeah, absolutely, super surreal to, especially to, meet Rod Ferguson and that, like, I met him a couple times now, like, I played Gears 4 beta early, and with him, it was my first game, and just, being able to spend, like, I wish I had more time I wish it was, like, longer, because, like, we was there for, like, 2 days, it was, like, we landed on a Thursday, and then we had, like, Thursday to, like, just get settled, chill, and then Friday and Saturday was, like, 5-6 hour days at the studio, and then we was flying back Sunday. So like it was very, very quick. Like I wish I had like a lot more time to like sit down. Like that's why we didn't even give much feedback or like, get an opportunity to provide feedback, because like we were so in the moment, like playing the game, doing the content, streaming. By the time that you can even process anything, what time it is of the day, it's done and over, and you're finished with it. So yeah, I wish I had a bit more time to like provide feedback and sit down and actually be like, oh, okay, like this is what's going on with the store, and we should change it. Like maybe this should be changed. And so that would have definitely been like a bit better to provide that feedback. But yeah, it was just I'll never forget it, man. Like big shout out to TC. Like it was just for creating content on Gears. Like taking this computer and this video game and just using a capture card and a mic to record gameplay and speak over voice over it. Like to go from just doing that to a company see the value in you to fly you over to where they create that game and allow you to get like early hands on was just I'll never forget it, man. It was a madness.
There's one thing I want to ask you about. If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to. It's the whole situation with when you was Twitch streaming and you had a guy named Tony.
Yeah.
Come in your Twitch. What actually went, or what was going on? Because I saw that was blowing around Twitter, and I was like, what the hell is?
Yeah. So like, I'm streaming Gears, man. Like, super small game, super niche. I might be able to peak at around 100 viewers, at a time. And yeah, this random guy that had been in like the live stream, I think for like over a year, and he donated like, £5-10 here and there. all of a sudden, like, he came up to the stream chat and was like, I want to start doing something for fun. Like, I want to set you these challenges, like, in game, and if you complete these challenges, I'll donate like crazy money. And so, like, it got to a point where I think I did like 7 or 8 challenges. Like, I actually failed a couple times, and yeah, he donated like $10,000 within like a week. And for someone like myself, like, you know, to go from literally cleaning shit out of a toilet with my dad as like a cleaner, you know, growing up as a kid to get, you know, spending money so I could buy gears too, and I was working, you know, 3 different cleaning jobs with him while doing like 50-something hour shift at the chip shop. The couple years prior to that moment happening, like, I never experienced money like this, like, or money like that. Like, that, it absolutely blew my mind. And then the worst thing happened was that happened, and then 2 weeks later, I logged onto PayPal and I was almost 12 grand in debt because he had completely charged back the entire lot. I think it came up as he walked into his bank and, you know, said it was all unauthorized payments and that wasn't him, and his bank took it all back. And I got charged for each transaction like $100 because of the price it was. So like, I got extra, you know, negative in debt with PayPal because of the transactions going back to him, and obviously the entire amount that happened. And bro, I was almost absolutely destroyed, man. Like, I remember waking up and looking at my PayPal, and I usually see my missus a couple times a week, and I called her, and I was literally like, I was in hysterics. Like, I was shaking. My voice was like fobbering. Like, I couldn't
imagine.
I couldn't even like understand I couldn't even get English out, man. Like, I couldn't even speak, and like she had to come over, and my heart was racing, and oh man, it was. I never would wish that on anybody, man. Like, to go from such a like what the hell moment, what has just happened? This guy has came in and done this absolute miracle to feel the absolute complete opposite 2 weeks later, and there was nothing you could do about it. Like, man, I was mentally, I'm lucky I had my missus, man, because I would have lost my head. Like,
what did your parents think?
Because they were just absolutely shocked, because, you know, when it happened, like, I'm living at home, like, you know, I'm thinking like, that amount of money came in, like, I gave, you know, my mum and dad 10. I give the way that I do it, like, you know, I pay rent and all that stuff at home. Like, I give 10% of every like YouTube and Twitch earning I've ever got. It's just, you know, an extra way to try and help them out. Like, you know, if YouTube's popping or Twitch is popping, like, I can help them out even more. So when that happened, like, I gave them you know, $1,000, and I said, look, go put this on the rent. That's like 4 or 5 weeks. You don't even have to worry about the next 4 or 5 weeks of rent. Like, this guy's just covered it through, you know, donating on the stream. And then obviously going into the negative when he took it all back, like, I was absolutely distraught, man. Like, it was, you know, a bit scary because I was getting calls on my phone. I was connected to the PayPal account. Because I didn't have any money to, like, because basically what they wanted me to do was, I went from like nothing really, you know, maybe it was £100 or that whatever in there, to going up to 10 grand, and then going down to 12,000 minus 12,000 because he took the whole amount back, and then all the charges on top of it. I didn't. They wanted me to, you know, replace it, or they're going to take me to court. So like, they were sending like letters through the door, and like, we're talking like, this has gone from something crazy that's happened on the internet to it's getting involved in my real life. And, you know, if this has an impact on, you know, us living in this house because we don't own it, like, you know, being kicked out, and like, you know, affecting my mum and dad, my brother, my younger sister's life, like, I would have never been able to live with myself, man. Like, you know, something like that happening to, you know, your family and like the real life people that you live with, like, crazy, man. Like, I have no idea how I was able to turn it around. I literally spent 5-6 months in contact with PayPal. I sent them an 18-page doc with all evidence I could ever think of from every message I had with him, every transaction. I was able to get part of his IP address. And luckily, after about 6-7 months, I was actually able to get it completely reverted, back to obviously him donating the money to me originally. But like, going through that for like 5-6 months was
I can imagine
mentally absolute lowest of lows. Like, I didn't even think life was real anymore. Like, it was painful, man. Like, but like, saying that, like, that experience happening was the reason why I've been able to like do content full time. And, you know, why all those like, you know, crazy sort of like trips and going to like the different LAN events happened because of that moment. Like being able to turn it around from like the negative to the positive, like that was what allowed me to, you know, like go on a couple of those trips. And basically, like if YouTube and Twitch weren't earning enough, because obviously like this is what I do as my full-time job, like I had that for like, I would say literally like the last 2 years, like I was able to, well, the next 2 years, like only to recently, able to sustain like content full time, even if I'm not earning as much as I need to, you know, pay my bills, like the internet, phone, electricity, rent, all that, you know, get food weekly, whatever. So like, yeah, it was an absolute crazy turn of events, man, to go from experiencing a what the hell to holy shit, my life is like done.
Yeah.
What do I do? To okay, I've somehow been able to turn it around, and I go and enjoy life, and you know, do all this craziness. Is just, and to happen to somebody that does Gears of War, like as small as a niche game on Twitch, like it's so undescribable, man. Like I still can't believe that happened as well. Yeah, like
it's very, something like that is unheard of, especially
yeah.
like that amount of money. You know,
Yeah.
exactly the same. I work in you know, retail, so it'd be a dream to have something, you know,
Yeah.
happen, and you think, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
what do you do? Like,
And then for it to get turned around, like,
yeah,
man, like you'd like, imagine you going to work knowing that you currently are in debt because, you know, you might have withdrawn that money to pay for expenses, or, you know, get this, get that, maybe support someone in your family, whatever. Would just be absolute nightmare, wouldn't it? Like, it's just, I just, go on.
I was gonna say, did you ever find out who it was or where he was from, or?
It was a guy from California. Yeah, I went through like reverse Facebook searching, because like I said, I just went into SuperDrive like to try and turn this around. Like you chargebacks happen here and there for streamers, but like you never really hear of like people being able to successfully like win the cases. Like whenever I've looked on the internet, but like saying that, like you don't really hear of like chargebacks of that level happening, especially to like someone doing like a game like Gears with like 100 viewers. Like maybe it's a streamer with like 5,000-10,000 viewers, you know, more likely. But yeah, it was just, oh, man, I'm so glad that like worked out, because I don't know where or what would have happened, you know, today if that didn't work out, you know.
Especially in this current time with COVID, it'd be even worse now. If
Yeah.
you're in that sort of position, everyone's, you know, struggling, and as much as it was a fantastic gesture, it was unbelievable. But
yeah, it was so close to being life ruining. Like I said, not only for me, but like for, you know, my own family. Like when you're interjecting into real life like that, like that's when it crosses the line, and it would have been devastating, man.
Have you ever had someone like charge back in any sort of amount at all, like any crazy amount? Because I know YouTubers and stuff, when they stream, they'll have someone accidentally send like, I don't know, 1,000 and realise, oh, I made a mistake, I put an extra 0. Or
Yeah, not since then. Nah.
It's crazy. It still baffles me now. Like,
Yeah, I know, man. Like I said, but like it happening, I reckon, because if that never happened, you know, I don't know if I would have been able to continue doing content full time, you know, towards the end of Gears 4 going into to Gears 5. Like I said, like, I worked at a chip shop for like 5, like almost 5 years, and just before that crazy donation moment happened, like, I was actually doing a couple extra pickup shift at a different chip shop for a couple days a week, just you know, get my bills paid, because content wasn't working at that moment. So yeah, if that moment didn't happen, like I might have had to forget about doing content, you know, way before Gears 5 even came onto the scene. So
yeah,
went from a mad moment, and luckily it came out okay, man. Like it came out on the good side. Yeah,
I'm very pleased that you managed to do it, because like you said yourself, I know a lot of people have failed to get even their money back, because PayPal is a very difficult company to deal with.
So I was so shocked that I was able to turn it around. Like I just went in, man. Like I just tried to find as much evidence to prove that it was donations that he took back. Like, and luckily, yeah, it worked out.
For anyone, if by anyone ever happen, if it ever happens again to somebody else, what's their best way of trying to combat it? Because you've done it yourself now. You can say you've done this.
Yeah. I think you have to have like a disclaimer on the Twitch page where people can donate. Is like to basically say like these are non-refundable, and then maybe if you like screen record your like desktop, to prove that messaging was there before like the date of like any transactions. But yeah, basically like the email just literally included like I was just so lucky that because it was like five transactions in total. I think it was like 5 transactions in total. And luckily I had like 25, 30 different transactions with the same payment thing being used tied to that. Like so I feel like I was very, very lucky to be in a position where I had so much evidence to support it. So like the more stuff you can find, like you got things on Streamlabs, you can check email addresses like tied to PayPal, and where transactions are coming from, like just basically just trying to provide as much evidence as possible from any avenue that could be related to like that specific thing happening. Could definitely be used to help you out in your favor. Yeah, so like the more the merrier. I just got very lucky that I had like multiple transactions and the same email address for all of them, and there were so many like things for them to tie together. Is why I think they I think I lost like I think I lost 1,000. Yeah, I think I gained back 9 and he got 1,000 back for some reason. But at that point I was like I don't care. Like I am absolutely don't care. I was just a lifetime experience that I'll never forget, man.
So let's end this on a good note. Is there anything around you right now or in a different room or something that you could show us that you've collected at some point that's quite rare, or anything that's quite rare?
All my gear stuff is put away, man. I will hold up. When did the Xbox come out?
The Xbox
One? I can show you a picture. Yeah, because of living at home, like all my gear stuff is like put away in the loft, like all in boxes.
Yeah.
No, the Xbox Series X. Yeah, it was. Oh wait, I think I've got it here. I can show you a picture on my phone of my most prized possession. I'll bring it up to the screen. So,
touch it up a little bit. There we go. Oh wow.
I have one of 4 in the world, the Gears of War Ultimate Edition, limited edition Xbox One consoles. Yeah, it has like Marcus Phoenix like sketched onto the console itself. As you can see, it's like Gears Ultimate Edition on the front side. Like, yeah, there's only 4 of those in the world. I would probably say that's like my most prized Gears of War possession, just because of its rarity. I got so lucky. Like, I do believe that specific one was the prize included for, I think they were doing like a San Diego Comic-Con Xbox giveaway, and I think there was like 20 different custom Xbox Ones that they were giving away for like all the different Xbox games. Do you remember that? Yeah. I think they did like an Xbox post about it. Like, it was like, I think there was like the image, it was like 20 different Xboxes. Yeah.
That's what, yeah.
So yeah, that's where that one came from. Like a YouTube subscriber reached out to me, and this was like late 2015, and it was the first like time that I'd ever earned like actual spendable money from like creating content, and I was like, I want that. Like that's going to be a symbol of getting into this YouTube content thing with the little success that I had with Gears of War Ultimate Edition in that year. Like, I was still working at the chip shop, so like, I was financially supported, but I wanted to use it as like a symbol to be like, this is to represent like the start of like doing something new. So yeah, I think I got it for like, I think it was £750. Yeah, like $1,000. I think it was. And that was like 6 years ago. And there's only 4 in the world. Like I saw one at the Coercion Studio when I was there, so I know one's there. I think another Gears fan, I think in Germany, has one, and then the other one I have absolutely no idea. It's probably like somewhere in Mexico at this point, But yeah, I wish I had all my Gears merch to show you, man. Like, I've got like all of the exclusive pins, like being able to go to like the different LAN events. Like, I might be missing a couple, but yeah, I have like all of the different pins that they made, like the Ember, Nasher, Lancer, Snub. I have all the like Pro League, the pins, like the different like LAN events when it was like Atlanta, Mexico.
Yeah.
Because when I went to, I think it was Boston, yeah, they were selling like the entire collection. So I was like, yeah, I need to definitely grab these. I think I grabbed a spare, and I'm going to give away one day. I have like all the Funko Pops for, gear for the latest gear stuff. Like, I never got to get any of this stuff as a kid, man. Like, as I was saying, like, I was waiting for Gears 2 to release, cleaning pubs with my dad for £1 a day at like 7 a.m. because I started school at 8:20. And so I never had the opportunity to get like limited edition versions of the game or consoles or figures or any of the extra stuff. So in 2015 with like the little success of Gears UE, and that's when I was like working like 70 hours a week on top of content. I wasn't really streaming. I was buying so much Gear stuff, man. I got loads of the old figures, a couple of the retro Lancers. I think I have like I have a few promotional things, like I have like Gears of War 1 trainers from 2006. I have the Gears of War 4 limited edition van trainers that they released at E3 for like, I think, certain amount of people that were able to pick them up at the event. So yeah, I definitely have some items that I feel proud to own. I think the most recent stuff, because I had to stop getting it because it was just too expensive, man. Plus, like shipping. I think you've tweeted about this as well. Like shipping from America, like because it's not really available in the UK. Like it's too much, man. Like there's a bunch of the new figures that I don't even have. Like I think they released like a Warden, the few like Swarm ones, like the Coltrane, like KDS. I don't really have. I don't have those. Like the only recent thing that I got was the entire collection of the Gears of War comics. So like for both Rise of Ram and High Busters, I made sure, and I have every single variant of both comic series so far. And I've keeping them like all brand new and mint. Like they're a bit more cheaper compared to like figures and stuff like that, but they're just like, once they're done and gone, like they're sold, like you will never find them again. Like they are so hard. Like
they're very,
I got so lucky to come across on eBay. I think about 2 years ago, the entire original set of comics for £60, like all in. And so yeah, I copped that as well. So like, yeah, I love the Gears comics. They're definitely a good part of the collection. Like hopefully the UK can get like better improvement for like support for like merchandise and stuff like that, so like we don't get screwed over by like importing prices and conversion rates and postage. Like it would be nice to get like more open end from TC or Xbox like in the UK, like maybe from London or whatever, to have a better way to get Gears like merch, because I think that's like a big part of the success of the franchise is the selling marketing of like Gears of War merchandise. Like people will eat it up if it's available, so like if they make it available in the UK, like I'm pretty more sure that a lot more people would be open to picking up more Gears merch. If they're not really getting skins in your game, they might be very, very interested in having that figure or this and that.
There's value to having something physical. It's like this hat. This is what I tweeted about, was this hat. I mean, this hat's like on Glitch Gear. It's like $25. I mean, that's all right for a hat. Yeah. And then international shipping is $25. And then I have to pay to even touch the item, come through customs.
Yeah. You get like a customs charge. Like Raw Mail's like, please play this, and you're like, damn it.
I know, man. I was like, I ordered a bunch of pins, and then I got a little card through the letterbox. It's like, we can't drop this off. You need to pay £20 to even.
Yeah.
Like, what?
And then you're like, I don't want, but you have to, because like then it just gets sent back. But yeah. That Glitch company was the same company that I got my pins from, because I think that was at like the LAN events.
Yeah, that's some nice stuff, but I think the UK very lax Gears stuff, but I can understand it, because I wouldn't say Gears is massive in the UK, but compared to like America and Mexico, I think it just gets neglected a little bit. The UK does when it comes to
like Gears is so big in Mexico. Like I never went to a Mexican LAN event. I wish I did, but I heard like man's pull up outside with like the off-brand fake Gears of War merchandise. Like that's how big Gears is over there. So yeah, they've got it on lockdown over there, but yeah, hopefully, man.
I mean, you can't even get any fake Gears over here. I mean, they did in Poundland, I don't know if you remember, they did like the Bionicles of War figures.
Yeah,
They were like rip-offs of like,
yeah. Marcus Don Baird, yeah.
But yeah, I like my Gears merch, but damn, it's the rising prices is ridiculous when it comes to imports and stuff. Okay, so jumping back to your content, so and Gears, so this is a very controversial thing. So, do you think Cliff should return to Gears? Like, because a lot of people will be like, "Oh, Cliff is gonna save the game." I get saying, "Where's Cliff?"
I don't think so. No, I think at most, like, because I swear, you know Joshua Ortega. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I know Joshua.
I swear he's a consultant for Gears of War. Yeah. The way that he tweets and like the way he talks about like the like Gears stuff here and there, like I think he's a consultant for like the coalition, you know. So like consultants are like people that are necessarily like not involved with development at all, but like they're sort of like on the boarding like director team to just sort of like throw like ideas at the wall to see if they stick for the studio. Yeah. So like maybe at most like I think Cliff said that he could do that. But I think with the departure of Rod Ferguson, man, like, I think Coalition have got so much better, and like Gears 5 as a whole has got so much better. Like I think as much as Rod Ferguson was like needed at the beginning, I think him moving on has allowed TC to find themselves and their vision of like where they want to take Gears. Like there was a interview with Bonnie Maher, who is the I think she's like the narrative director at TC. Like she appears on the lore live streams. Like she basically plays God in the universe of Gears. And I'll quickly read you this quote out at the bottom of this interview. It actually contains a lot of goodies, man. Like if you go to her Twitter, I think she's got it pinned on her Twitter.
Oh, really?
But she says, TC are really excited about all of the different avenues of stories that TC can tell, referencing not only the different eras of the universe, as in the Locust War and the Swarm War that the team want to explore, but also the new mediums in terms of games, stories, comics, books. But now, with Gears Tactics in 2020, different gaming genres that they have to do. As TC, we're figuring out what's next, but Tactics was a great opportunity to tell a brand new story that is going to fulfill the Gears of War itch for a little while we do figure out and plan for what is going to happen next in the mainline Gears series. I feel like we have so many opportunities for our Gears fans and players to still get engaged in our universe, and we're not going to stop. So, like, if TC are coming out with, the departure of Rod, with that mentality, like how they're thinking about Gears, like people always say like, oh, Gears is dying or Gears is dead or is Gears 6 the last one or is Gears 6 happening? Like, I don't think people realize like, from 2015 to now, Coalition have put out a crazy amount of work, like a crazy amount of stuff. They've delivered 6 different gaming projects, 2 different book novels and 2 comic sets. Of two different series, like so far in the last 5 years. Like you've had Gears UE, Gears 4, Gears 5, Gears Tactics PC, Gears Tactics Xbox, the High Buster DLC, and then you've had the Ascendance and Bloodlines novels, and then the Rise of Ram and High Buster comic series. Like I think the Coalition are, especially at this point after the departure of Rod, like I don't think they need anyone like Cliff Bleszinski. Like I think, especially going into Gears 6, like this is going to be the first Gears game that we're going to be experiencing without Rod Ferguson being in like the top 2 of like the studio making the game. So like this is going to be that opportunity, as I was saying earlier, to experience like a next gen version of Gears that I feel like we really need. And I think after the lessons learned from both 4 and 5, like I think Gears 6 is going to be like the true first ever version of Gears from TC that really reflects like how much they've learned already, taking on such an iconic, massive franchise like that Gears is, and trying to continue after what felt like the immediate end at the end of Gears 3. Like I think going into Gears 6, like they're gonna be able to finally, hopefully, fingers crossed, like deliver the true Gears of War experience, like they want people to know and then get excited for.
Yeah. I think you know, I just wish they'd go back to like the grit of Gears, like, you know, the darkness end is, I think, is a good way of putting it, really, like, you know, all the heavy armor and stuff. I mean, that's what people like. I mean, personally, that's what I enjoy from Gears, is the grit and the gore. But I think they've kind of gone towards the daylight type of thing. It's not a war anymore.
Well, I think it's not even that. Like, I think, you know, I think that sort of grittiness and darkness of like the original Gears games is more so set to like the timeline setting of the Locust War. You know, like if you look at Gears Tactics, like that looks like it's like the environments, the darkness, like that looks like a more gritty Gears of War experience. You know, like I think if you think of like Planet Sarah like as a whole, like there's so many different environments that they can bring in and create. And I think the release of Highbuster DLC recently is like I think it's like the point. I would put the Highbuster DLC as like to show the potential of like where Gears is going, and also like the release of Tactics, as I said in that interview. Like I think TC are thinking of ways to expand like the Gears IP in like different avenues and different genres. Like we saw a bit of like open world in that in the Gears 5 campaign. Like whether or not they're keeping, you know, try and push that even further into Gears 6. Like I think there's so much potential in another side Gears of War game, like an open world RPG where you play as like stranded trying to survive like the Locust War, and then you could bring in that like gritty sort of like horror element, because, you know, you're not a soldier, you're just a civilian trying to survive like the crazy events of the Locust War, you know, and you'd have that like them similar environments. Like I think it's just depending on the time frame of the universe that they're in, and like the way that they're trying to expand the universe of Gears. You know, if you look at 4 and 5, like it's set after really like 25 years of peace in, I don't know how, well, you had like 80-year conflict of the Pendulum Wars. There was a little break, 6 weeks, that don't really count because it went into like 17, you know, let's call it 20 years of the Locust like Lambent War, which was like 100 years of war to the planet. So like by the end of it, everything was smashed to pieces, you know. So I think like the 25-year time jump between like Gears 3 and 4 is a huge change to why like it feels like a lot more of like opening up the world and like, you know, brighter, more daytime sort of like environments. Like I think the Highbuster DLC serves as like a good indication of where like TC want to go, and like the actual like right way to grow Gears. Like maybe if it isn't planned for Gears 5, like I think mini sort of like campaign story expansions like Highbuster's DLC, where other squads and other sets of characters across the entire world deserve to have like their stories told. Like I think if they were fitting for a campaign DLC, like that's what maybe TC should be, you know, working on right now and planning for the future. Like let's say every year anniversary of a game, like if it's not Gears 5, if it wasn't planned already, like maybe unless you know, development's delayed, like they could start it last year or this year and, you know, release that like the following year or whatever. But like every year release anniversary for Gears 6, maybe have like a campaign DLC, you know, like what did you think of the Highbusters? Like I absolutely loved it, man.
To be honest, like it was, I really enjoyed it. It was definitely like a fresh breath of like Gears. You know, it's nice to play than just, you know, be hitting, oh, I got a new character this week, blah blah blah. But you've got fresh new content to cover. You've got whole new cinematic. I mean, the visuals in the DLC was unreal. Like they just looked amazing. And I can imagine
the lava and that, like it just looks so different. Yeah,
man. Like, and the, you know, the scene at the end with the you know, the boss fight, I mean, it just all seemed to fit really well.
Yeah.
My only pet peeve about it was the sliding stuff in there. I think there was quite a lot of sliding that I don't think was needed too much. But,
yeah, I think that was the it was like the lava tubes, right? Like
yeah.
I think they've done it really well with like I think what TC does better than Epic especially is like really expanding the universe and just showing that, like, I'm telling you, man, like Gears of War has 20 years of stories to tell. Like they have this insane way of storytelling where, you know, as of right now, like, we're only on Sarah, and they could create unlimited stories inside the stories that have already happened, just to further expand like the storytelling of like the past, the present, and even going into the future. So like there's like you know you got the whole Locust War. Like there's like I think there's like 10 whole years in the Locust War from like the Gears Tactics era, which was like 2 years with the Hammer Strikes, to Gears 1. That hasn't even been touched by anybody. Like it's literally 10 whole years of like the entirety of the Locust War that hasn't even been dived into. You know, maybe there's like probably reasons why. You know, how was humanity able to survive up to the last 3 years that we experienced in the original trilogy? If the Hammer of Dawn like fight or you know attack against the Locust Horde was like one of their last like you know defensive position moves of like surviving, you know, like there must have been important like battles that happened. Maybe you could have new Locust generals introduced there, you know, battling against new heroes that we get to you know fall in love with and experience stories with. Like there's just so much potential in the Gears universe that TC have created so far, where they could just continue to create as many stories as they want to tell, as long as they make sense. And if people don't know as well, I'll blow a couple of minds, maybe, hopefully try to, but in the Gears 4 prologue, in the news section, when the guy is like reporting the news of like the victory day, like the 25-year commemorative like anniversary, whatever it's called, along the side, you know, like when you're watching like Sky TV or BBC, there's like the like bar across the screen that has like different bits of information, like little like tidbits. On the screen in Gears 4, it says the COG government. I can't remember the exact words in short, but just to you know emphasize and blow up a little bit to explain it. The new COG government are they just decided in like what's it called, like a sort of like how we have like the House of Commons, where like the MPs like debate you know back and forth on different things. In the Gears universe, for the new COG for that. They just decided to put on hold putting in extra funds into space exploration technology. So like the new COG government are already funding like spaceships and the ability to go explore space and life outside of the planet Sarah itself, because if people didn't know, there's 2 moons, and then there's also a planet nearby called Riser, which was only ever mentioned by Ben Carmine in Train the Rook, when you're in that like sort of like tutorial of Gears 2's campaign, where he says like this one guy from Basics, like he thought, you know, he thinks the Locusts like originate from that planet Riser. So like there's so much storytelling potential in Gears, man. Like, you know, I think I don't think Gear 6 is the end of this like story as well. Like I can't see humanity being able to defeat the return of the Locusts in the sense of the Swarm, but also the fact that the Locusts survived in a few different ways within 1 year. You know, if the Locust War was 17 and it took 17 years of fighting against the Locusts constantly to even get, you know, to the point of ending the Locust War with, you know, the machines created by Adam Phoenix, like, I can't see, especially now that the Queen's back for the Swarm as well, like, they're going to be the most strongest that they've ever been in the next game compared to, like, 4 and 5. Yeah. You know, it's very, very interesting, man. Like, the storytelling in Gears is, I feel like, very much underappreciated outside of Gears as well, like, in terms of, like, just Xbox gamers. Like, I think what TC have done, especially, like, Bonnie and the narrative team, like, Matt Cersei, like, they've absolutely killed the expanding of the universe and, like, the lore. Like, getting back to the High Buster DLC, like, there was so much love for, like, the Gears lore in there. Like, I really enjoyed that. I'll probably just
go for it.
People can find me on, you know, the internet, Shadows, Gears, you know. If you type in Gears Shadows, I'm probably there. You know, big shout out to the Coalition and Xbox for just honestly, like, continuing to work on this amazing franchise that we love, man. Like, you know, if it wasn't for Gears of War, like, my life would be completely different, and, you know, it's changed my life forever. Like, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to, you know, continue doing content, or how long this thing's going to last for. Like, you never know what happens in the future. But yeah, just big shout out to the hardworking people at TC, man. Like, thank you for, you know, changing my life, and, you know, for everybody else that plays Gears as well. I'm pretty sure everybody has, like, an attachment to the franchise, you know, whether it's from the old games or the new games. Like, it's always going to mean, you know, something to, you know, a lot of people out there. So yeah, big shout out to those guys, man. That's all right. Yeah, before we go, just to tease a little bit of, like, the future, man. Like, I want to the big plan is basically, like, I want to cover, like, Gears of War's lore, like, in its entirety, like, officially, like, fully, like, diving in. So that's, like, you know, I've got a few plans for hopefully this year, where I can get to the point of like just explaining everything to do with the Gears lore, you know, discussing the origins and confirmations of everything in the latest Gears games, to eventually, you know, discussing theories going into Gear 6. And then at some point, like, I'll show you right here, I have this hard drive.
Oh.
My missus got me this terabyte, I think it's like 4 or 5 terabyte hard drive. And this is going to be the key to the Gears content future, man, because like, I basically just want to have like the entirety of the Gears of War universe explained on YouTube, you know? So like in 50 years or 40 years, like you want to type in, you know, Gears of War, the story of Dominic Santiago, and you have like a 30-minute to an hour video explaining like his entire life as a character. Like that's, you know, content for Gears that I want to get into. And like, it's not really never really been done before, like properly on YouTube. Like I think if you look on YouTube, like, some people, you know, even myself, like, you know, a bit of lore's been touched into here and there, but like, if you look at games like Halo and Star Wars, like I know there's a lot of Star Wars stuff out there where people have like dived so deep into the lore where, you know, you have to go through so much effort to, you know, obviously with gaming, like with the games, like capture the cutscenes, the audio, the little bits of like talking in between like different chapters, and you've got the collectibles, you've got the comics, the novels, the books, and how it all ties together. Like, I want to eventually one day to just like get the entirety of like the Gears lore of the universe like explained, available to watch on YouTube, because it's I feel like it's like I said, it's so underappreciated. Like, you know, even things like, you know, talking about the choice in Gears 5 and explaining the origins of the Locust Confirm and Queen Mira's origins, like how each game connects. And, you know, I was going through the comics recently and I didn't realize, like, so I never really like read the old stuff, which I need to do like, in full. Like, I know bits and pieces, but like, I was reading a comic where it was showing that Chairman Prescott was evacuating the island of Azura when Mira was attacking it, and we get a little bit of a description behind like the 2 Onyx guards that join him, that then show up in the like Gears 3 campaign, like, and you know, you never know like who those 2 Onyx guards are, like little things like that, you know, explaining like how did Marcus Phoenix get his scar, and what was the classified incident that you know, caused JD Phoenix and Delta to leave the COG and, you know, join the Outsiders, and how did Anya die, like basically like questions and theories about like the lore and the mainline Gears games that you wouldn't know the answer to unless, you know, you go out and buy the books and read them, or you go out and buy the comics and read them, you know. So yeah, that's definitely like future content that I just thought I'd just quickly tease, because it's like a huge passion project for mine, honestly, man. Like, if I can, you know, I'm gonna die one day, man. Like, if I can leave on the internet this amazing Gears franchise, like video game series that I love, like all fully done on you, like on the internet forever, hopefully, like in terms of lore, like leaving it behind is sort of like a directory for like for the future would be like, you know, that's like my next like big plan for Gears content. And I think I don't know if you're interested in the lore stuff, but I think like if you to do it right as well, where you can grab all the facts, you get all the details that you need to fully flesh it out. Like, I think it would definitely be, you know, a lot like quite popular, and I think a lot of people would, you know, get to not only enjoy it as Gears fans, but I think outside of Gears fans, like people would get an opportunity to be like, wow, like I thought this was just like do bros, and then, you know, recently fucking I don't know, emotional teenagers, like I think it would show people that like Gears of War is a much bigger game than a lot of people take it and give it credit for. So yeah, that is probably like the next big content thing that I want to get to.
When can people expect to start seeing some of that content?
I would probably say, hopefully, I'll probably start this month. I wanted to wait for the Highbuster DLC because I knew, like, you know, if there's a brand new story thing released, it's fresh and new. Like, you can, you know, use that to your advantage where you've just only experienced it as well as everybody else who's only just experienced it. So yeah, I'm probably going to start with like the Highbuster DLC, like explaining the ending, like what happens next, like the origins of like each character. Because there's like the trippy moment when you're going through the acids on Bahanu and you like hear the voices. If you play as each different character, there's different voices. So like if you're playing as Mac, like you hear his son. If you're playing as Lani, you hear one of the members of our Brash Brigade. If you play as Keegan, you hear an Onyx guard that he was on duty with on Azura. There's just so much lore to get to, man, that I just that's probably where I start. And then I think from now I want to move on to like the mainline Gears games, and then talk about Gear 6 before it happens, and then, you know, maybe try and get like the whole universe explained like as things go into the future. So yeah, I'll probably start this month with the High Buster stuff, and then again, it's just such a big ask, man. Like, you know, you think you're going to go through 7 different games and capture everything from audio clips to cutscenes to screenshotting comics and trying to tie it all up together just to explain one creature or one weapon or one environment or whatever. So like, yeah, it's going to be I think it should be a big thing for Gears, man. So
It's gonna take
I'm
some
definitely
work.
get started on that. Yeah, it's going to
it'll
take
be
a lot of work,
enjoyable.
man.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
I think it's definitely well needed. So I like my lore. I used to watch Barricades when he used to cover some lore, but he didn't really deep dive. He just basically explained, you know, what's.
He sort of like chose like pick and chose like specific sort of like moments of like the universe for like related to like certain characters, but didn't blow it up to the point that you could definitely dive into. And I think if Gear 6 is a way out, like I think that would be content that a lot of probably, you know, Gears people out there will really enjoy just, you know, engaging with and watching. Like, there's so many plot lines from the ending of now the High Buster DLC in Gears 5 leading onto Gears 6. You know, there's talks about, you know, First Minister Jin's plan to, she wanted to connect Kate Diaz back into the Hive Mind to, you know, try and help them fight against the Swarm. You know, Marcus mentions in one of the cutscenes that they need to find a new nexus, like the new home base of the Queen. Like that might be one of their next moves. Obviously, you have the High Buster Team Scorpion, the way that they're able to use their venomous bomb, created from I think it was the cyanitis gas from Tactics that was at New Hope, which is mixed with the Wakatu stuff. Yeah, like Jin has spoken about like moving all of humanity into Settlement 6, which is even bigger than New Ephyra, which obviously got destroyed in Gears 5. Like, obviously you have the ideas of like the Locust surviving in multiple ways, from stragglers on the surface and inside the hollow after the ending of the Gears 3 motion countermeasure being activated. You have the hybrids that were originally left in stasis in Mount Kadar. Like, there's, you know, could the Locust maybe team up with the Cog to fight the Swarm, who could maybe become and start turning into like a Flood type enemy in the Gears universe, where you know, they did evolve slightly from the Locust, affected by the machine, but maybe become their own thing. Like, you know, Kate Diaz is always going to be a descendant of Mira, and she was always going to have a target on her back. And even if they, you know, are able to deal with Queen Reyna, like the new Swarm Queen, like Kate Diaz, as long as she's alive, will always be a target for the Swarm enemy, or like the Locust to have a true descendant of Mira to always live on as like, you know, a serving queen. So like, there's so much Gears I feel like to talk about. It's just being, you know, able to put it together. Like, you know, it's one thing to say it, and then it's another thing to do it. So like, I just feel like I need to do it and get it done, man, because, you know, that Gears lore needs a lot of love, man, because it goes so underappreciated. So.
It does. A lot of people like listening to it, especially like, you know, I like my podcasts and stuff. I'd literally, like, I'd game and just have it on one screen and just listen to it. Like,
that's what I was doing with yours for this. Yeah, I literally, like, when I'm editing or, you know, waiting for videos to render, like, I got a good like 25-30 minutes to wait, just drop it on, and, you know, you can just play it in the background. So
that's it, man. Awesome. Right, if anyone's listening or watching right now, please make sure you check out Shadows. He's got that content coming, and
I appreciate that, man.
Gonna be amazing.
I just want to say again, thank you for inviting me on, man. I definitely had to jump on, you know, speak the Gears gas. You know, I'm always down to come on again in the future, man. Like, you know, whenever you want me on, if you want to talk about Gears 6 when it's happening, or you know, I'm always down to talk Gears, man. Like, I can, you know, it's the one thing in life that my missus is always like, man, you can go on and on and on. And as you know, as we met up in the LAN events, man, we'd be partying, we'd be drinking to like 3-4, just talking about this game and this franchise, man. So yeah, I appreciate the opportunity to come on and just, you know, talk about a bit of Gears, a bit about life, and you know, I feel like content creation as a whole, like, you know, sometimes it's quite hard to get to know the person behind the content. So, you know, hopefully this was a good episode for you, and you know, people get a little bit more about myself, but, you know, just talking about Gears and, you know, having a good time. So I appreciate the invite on, man.
No worries, Shadows. Thank you for coming on, man.